Somnium Space is your open, multi-chain VR metaverse, where you own your digital creations and are an active participant in the new creator economy. Somnium Space is shaped entirely by its users. A digital frontier where you own your items, vehicles, land, and even entire worlds. Build using our intuitive builder and import your assets through our native Unity SDK. Create your own avatars, vehicles, and any kind of accessory you can imagine. Then sell your creations on our NFT marketplace. Welcome to Somnium Space.
In Somnium Space, episode number 8. Could this be? It is the very first VR metaverse. All VR, all the time, anything you want to do, this is it. How have we not gotten more information or even heard about this? I mean, again, here we go again. It's like a broken record. Digging into this one, there is so much here, and I wasn't even aware of it. I told you last week I heard about it, Sandbox Decentraland. Forget those. This is the future, as far as I'm concerned.
Right. I can't believe this isn't higher up on our list. I know we've talked about it as far as we knew it was on there, but it wasn't until I started actually looking into it that I saw how developed it already is and how far ahead they are on so many different things in the metaverse, especially with their VR. I love it. Yeah.
The very first VR 3D fully immersive experience. This isn't a game. This isn't a metaverse. This is an experience. And the founder who created this and who is running it, he's everywhere, a guy named Artur Sykov. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but here's a quote by Artur.
Probably.
A place where builders and creators can thrive and be rewarded for their efforts. That is what Somnium Space is. That is what they're doing. Pretty amazing. Created. So right into the story, we've got a full show. We've got our very first guest of MetaMentors. And I think, I don't want to pat myself on the back, but I'm pretty sure I hit a home run with this guy. He has one hell of a story. I'm excited to hear from him. Talked to him just yesterday for, well, it was supposed to be 10 minutes, ended up being 30 minutes. You know how that goes. So
I know how you are. Yes.
I get excited and I can't shut up. It's a fault of mine. I guess that's why I sell real estate. Somnium, created in 2017, rolled out pretty quick there. Not a lot of attention. Moving forward, big, basically just a huge ideas on this being a VR world. So they were ahead of, Archer was ahead of the market. They've done so many things in here. Again, this is another metaverse where I couldn't even hardly keep up with all that was going on because there just was so much stuff. So I'm excited to kind of run through this, not too quickly, but somewhat quickly so that we can try to cover as much as possible. We're definitely going to have some links on this one because there's just a lot going on here. So one of the things that jumped out on with Somnium Space is this metaverse is already a multi-chain metaverse, which is apparently where we're headed. Like the more chains, the interlinking they can get, the better off these metaverses are going to be, the better off the games, because you're not just buying an NFT or land or whatever in one blockchain, but then you can't use it on another. The whole decentralization is to be able to go back and forth on these metaverses along with other other games and stuff going on. Somnium Space, at least that we've covered to this point, is the first one to go multi-blockchain. It's built on Ethereum. It also operates on Polygon, but you can actually use Solana NFTs. So Solana blockchain, big deal, which Solana is very price effective, very fast. Many of the newer metaverses and games are choosing Solana over Ethereum. So this is a huge deal. And again, I think that's kind of the theme we're going to see with Somnium Space is they seem to be ahead of the curve. And I use that word a lot, but they're ahead of the curve than a lot of these other metaverses. So one more quote I want to give you, and then I'm going to toss it over to you for the tokens and for the news and the disclaimer.
Yep.
Here's the quote. The future of our online experience will be decentralized metaverses. Somnium Space was created as a magical, immersive world that blows you away the moment you enter it. Quote is by Tyler Winklevoss.
Winklevoss.
Yeah, one of the twins, one of the Facebook twins is probably the most well known, but they're doing some massive things in the metaverse on their own. They probably hate being still associated with that mess, but they own Gemini Crypto. They're running that whole entity. Some big stuff these guys are doing, and they are heavily invested in Somnium Space.
Yep, that's okay, because with Gemini and what they're getting into, I think that one day they are going to be more successful than Facebook. So it'll be a good cliff note in their story that they were robbed of Facebook and then went on to go bigger and better things. So
highly agree. That's the way I'm seeing it also. So how about that disclaimer? And I'm excited to hear what's going on in the news this week.
On the MetaMentors, everything we do is for educational and entertainment purposes only. I'll show our sign right here. So don't make any financial decisions based solely on the information that we're putting out. Do some research of your own and speak with your financial team before making any major decisions. I think that'll do for the disclaimer. Seriously, if you haven't heard that on every crypto channel ever, don't trust the internet blindly. Just take it as good information and do your own research.
Yeah, I feel like the first idiot started saying that, so then all of the rest of us idiots that are making YouTubes are like, hey, I better say that also.
Well, there was back when the Reddit originally started that, he would get on there and he was like, oh, you should do this, and he built up the whole thing. So then when he got drug into court, they were asking him why he thought he was qualified, and so they said, you're not qualified to do that. So then anybody who was talking about AMC or GameStop started saying, just for the record, this is not financial, because if they ever got pulled into court. So now it is sort of cliche, but it's like, it's also a good reminder at the beginning that we're pretty excited about Somnium Space, but last week we were pretty excited about Illuvium and the week, but you know what I mean? And we're going to be excited about something next week. It doesn't mean go dump your life savings into it. We get excited about everything, but we're making calculated, measured investment decisions based on our financial situation. And our financial situation isn't your financial situation. So if I say I'm going big on this one, it might be because I have the opportunity right now to go big, not because you should go big and put your family's financial health at risk. You know what I mean? So it's always a good reminder, because people can get worked. I mean, because there's a lot of money to be made, and there's a lot, you see it all the time. There's a lot of kids, making $1 million NFTs, and there's a lot of big money getting thrown around. And it's very important that where there's a lot of money that can get earned, there's a lot of money that can get lost. So do your own research.
That should be on a t-shirt. That's a good one.
I need to get that. I'll do that. Good idea.
Write that one down.
Yep. That'll lead us straight into, now that we've told you, just do your own research. We'll show you some of the news this week. Joe Biden released his new crypto executive order, which a lot of people were pretty nervous about because it sounded like they were coming to crack down. And it ended up being I wouldn't say positive, but a whole lot more neutral than everybody was thinking. A whole lot more, okay, we're going to do some more research and we're going to learn more about it. But they were expecting it to be pretty restrictive or come in and immediately start, like put the whole industry under the Ripple business and take them to court and say whether or not it's a commodity or whether it's a security and yada, yada, yada. So everybody it seems like the crypto market has breathed a sigh of relief as a whole because all the markets are going back up. It just turned out not to be nearly as devastating as we thought, whether that's because they don't know how to stop it or how to slow it down, or because there's a war going on and they don't have time to really deal with that. Either way, it was noticeable. The markets were kind of sliding. And then when he released it, everybody got a good look through it, decided it wasn't as bad as they were thinking it was going to be. So now we're turning it back around and we've got a good run because usually they don't visit. I mean, he's not going to get back in and release another one in the next couple months. So
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody go ahead.
I heard it. Yeah. I heard it was up to, what is it? They're going to review for maybe 6 months. I think it was. And isn't it a good sign that it did, they, even though I know there's not, we don't know what it's going to be, but they didn't come out and it was a terrible, wasn't a bad deal. The market didn't look at it and go, oh crap. They looked at it and said, hey, they seem to be favoring crypto. They seem to be understanding that maybe crypto has a future here. We better explore it.
They said, correct me if I'm wrong, but the president of the United States is talking not just about Bitcoin, but about smaller projects, about the crypto, about the Web3, about all this. If he's talking about it, that means it's gone through every level of the government and it's being talked about. And if they don't come out and say, hey, this is poison, stay away from it, and we're going to shut it all down, then that's pretty good. That's, you know what I mean? That's good news. So
saying nothing appears to be positive at this point.
Yeah. And the way that this market moves in 6 months, they're going to be, fathoms ahead of where they're at now. So then when the government goes to look into it again or see how things are going, they're going to have to do it all over again. And hopefully by that point, we've got some real positive stories coming out of the industry where if they do make one, it's a neutral or positive. So,
yeah, absolutely.
That's Americans' government. England's government, not so much. The UK has now ordered that all Bitcoin ATMs are to be shut down because I'm not sure how familiar you are with the process of a Bitcoin ATM, but you can actually go put in cash and get, basically an offline wallet, a printout, a receipt. You can put it into an account, or you can just have your offline code, like a hard wallet.
Right.
And with the ATMs, you can kind of get around the know your customer that you have to do on all of the exchanges. So they're concerned that they're being used to launder money or evade paying their taxes. Even the small, they said there was a lot of small deposits that were starting to add up into real numbers. And so people were getting all of these and then sending that code to the offline wallets or to a decentralized wallet. So you could quickly we'll say that it was legitimate cash, but let's say you were earning money in an illegitimate way, taking it straight to the Bitcoin ATM, depositing it, that money was gone. That was in a decentralized wallet quickly. And so the UK has now shut them down. There was only 81 in the whole country, but you have to remember that the UK is about the size of Michigan. So 81's pretty big. That's about one state's worth, having 81 of those machines, but they're all now illegal. You can't use them. So America's opening up to crypto and the UK is locking it down even more.
So, it seems to remind me of a event in history a few hundred years ago. Europe,
Yeah.
Britain.
Yeah.
against
where
America.
Exactly. And we said, well, we'll go over here and do our own thing. So, speaking of leaving your country with your money and doing your own thing, Russians are trying to unload all of their Bitcoin. Some of this, as I read a couple more articles about it, some people are saying it's more people just trying to spook the market, trying to share it down, because they said Russian billionaires are moving all of their assets and they're talking about cashing out the Bitcoins. They said one of them, or several of them, have been for no less than $2 billion worth of Bitcoin. And if they are moving it, that's fine, because that's the beauty of Bitcoin, is you can get out of the country and have your Bitcoin. But if they're liquidating it, if they're selling all their Bitcoin, taking it into cash or another sort of property, they were talking about buying property in the UAE. If they're liquidating it, especially several billionaires with several $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, that's gonna be painful for the market. That'll drop. So some people are saying, oh, you're worrying, it's not really that big of a deal. And some people are saying just because they're moving and they're getting different, what's the word? Whatever handles their assets, not necessarily a wallet, but different companies that are working with the Russian billionaires in the UAE to get their money safely out so they can leave and take their fortune with them. Sure. That's not a big deal as long as they don't start liquidating it into, a different currency, a non-digital currency. So
almost a run on the bank.
Exactly. Yeah, because if they started, and I don't know why you would dump it, because there's not a better currency right now. Like they say, the American dollar right now is looking very strong compared to what it has been, but that's only because it's falling slower than the rest of the world currencies. So I don't know why you would get anything. I don't know why you would take money out of Bitcoin. I can see moving it if it was in a centralized wallet, or getting it, to a safe deposit box in a country outside of Russia. But I don't know why you would get rid of Bitcoin. So it's cool that they're moving it. It's cool that billionaires are doing what Bitcoin is supposed to do and protecting your assets from government seizure and, all the other unrest. So that's what we want to see. Hopefully the market holds up and they don't start dumping it.
We can only hope.
And that is this week in crypto news.
Awesome. Well, it's never a dull week in news. That's for damn sure.
No, and that's 3 out of 100 articles that you could read. I watch YouTube every day, and every day there's all these different people talking about all this different stuff. That's just 3 of the most interesting stories to me. But you're right. In this industry with so many different facets, it's nonstop. It's nonstop, and it's always something groundbreaking or exciting. You know what I mean?
Technology is just advancing so stinking fast. So we're going to keep this moving along. Man, there are so many things I want to talk about in Somnium space, but we're just going to have to gloss over a lot of them and add some links at the bottom. I mentioned the multi-chain, they're on Ethereum, working with Polygon, the layer 2, allowing NFTs from the Solana blockchain. If you're not familiar with chains and how these work just yet, that is a huge deal. So that cannot be understated. Here is some of the stuff that Somnium Space accomplished in 2021, joining up with Gemini, developing the Tesla suit, combining Tesla with suit. Solana. Yeah, I got a little bit there for you. Somnium Connect, they're just going to town with this. Here's another, I love these little infographics. Just gives such a good picture of some of the stuff that's been happening. One of the cool things that they were doing is a deal. Let me see if I can find it here. There it is, Creators Fund. And so Somnium Space, man, they are collaborating with the individual, which our guest that's going to be coming on here shortly, sCESSions, is a perfect example of that, with what he's been doing with some freedom within Somnium Space. But there's this Creators Fund where Somnium Space has basically built up this fund that gets bigger every year. This is going into its second year. There's up to $500,000 available now. And basically within this creators fund, it's being described as a cross between Shark Tank and the late night show.
Nice.
Community members have the opportunity to pitch their business ideas via VR before a jury of their peers, on Somnium Space for the chance to get some funding for their business. How cool is that?
That is pretty awesome.
Again, I could spend some time on that. Super cool. Here's some of the companies that they've joined with. I've kind of mentioned some of those. Another infographic here. You've got the Cube token, which you might get into a little bit, Ben.
I will.
Avatars, you can create avatars and sell them. But some of the coolest stuff, we just hit on the Tesla suit. Here is this Tesla suit that they're developing along with a VR headset. You can see the VR headset here. But again, you look at this and my brain goes straight to video games and advanced video games, but they're creating this suit not only for immersive gaming and stuff like that, but also for real world application. Firemen, they're testing.
I saw fire training. Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, because you've got these sensors all over your body. So you've got public safety. They're using it for sports, rehabilitation.
Manufacturing. Yeah. Imagine being able to do your rehab at home, but sending it straight to your doctor and being able to, for him to keep up, but you don't have to drive the hour to the specialist back and forth every day to do this rehab.
And sit in his office or not sit in the office. And I think this is what this does, and what you're saying is it's really starting to broaden the possibilities. I mean, I know it's endless what you can be done with the metaverse and VR. They keep telling us that, but my brain still is not stretched that far. You see stuff like this and you're like, oh, that's a real possibility. And not only is it a real possibility, like you had mentioned before in one of our earlier episodes, you don't have to go sit at the cell phone store for 2 hours to get your stuff. But, you don't have to go to the rehabilitation place across the, the city, and lose an extra transport, all that stuff that goes with it. I mean, these are real world applications, let alone safety applications.
Right. And so a lot of our previous metaverse videos, we focus on the retail aspect, and it's like, oh, you'll be able to buy this in the metaverse. You'll be able to buy this, or you'll be able to go look at new phones. And it's like, retail is great, but that is so small on things that you want to not be able or be able to not do in the real life, like doctor's office visits, like training for a job. You know what I mean? Like being able to test out new jobs. Say you want to be a firefighter, but you're not really sure whether you want to go through the 6-month schooling or the 2-year school or the 3-month boot camp to do it. And you're like, you know what? I'll just get in there and kind of see what it's like. And you get the real world feel. You get to see what it's like. And with that full haptic suit, you can they have heat. I don't know if it's a sensor, but it's, it kind of heats you up. It kind of does the muscle strain. You really get to feel some of the stuff that you're going through, or even like manufacturing. I mean, if you just think factories and stuff like that, they've got real life in VR where you're putting together pieces of car parts or turbos or valves, oil field equipment, where you can do all that in a very safe environment and see if that's what you want to do. They can train people on how to do that. So when they do get into the real world, it's safer for everybody. It's really ridiculous. That suit a couple years ago, or however many years ago, when Ready Player One came out, and he got the new full haptic suit where he could feel when he was driving, and he could feel human touch and all that stuff. It just seemed so far-fetched. I mean, that was only 4 or 5 years ago. So far-fetched. And now they're like, and if it was anybody besides Tesla, I'd be like, but that can't really be that good, right? But if it's a Tesla suit, I'm sold. The same people sending people into space, the one who sent an electric car into space, the guy who, revolutionized the electric car industry. Yeah. Okay. I assume that it's 100% usable.
Yeah. Instant confidence because of the brand.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Moving on to lands, Somnium Space. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, another home run on the mapping and for the lands. Very cool how they've got this set up. They've got this heat map portion here. Let's see if it'll come up for me. I may have to scan in a little bit. Where you can actually go on here and search for lands that are currently available. You can see some of what the land is valued at. Down here, you can see they've got the different sizes and types or locations of land. Within Somnium space, they're carrying along that same trend. A lot of these metaverses, size-wise, you've just a little bit different labeling. You've got small, medium, and extra large. I'm going to show some pricing. Do you want to be next to waterfront, the road, land? Are you buying it in cube or ETH? So just a lot of options there. As far as the land parts,
so far, the only issue that I've had with Somnium space is they have small, medium, and then extra large parcels. Not large, not, it went small, medium. You can't get a large one, but you can get an extra large one. So I don't know what the exact measurements on them, but I thought, how weird is that they just skipped large and you get small, medium, or extra large?
Yeah, the salesman in me was like, go for it, right? Small, medium, and caution to the wind.
Size.
We're going extra large. Screw large. Like that makes you want to. You're like, well, I could go small or I could go medium, but the next one's extra large. That seems like
right.
a good value.
Well, that's a good point. It's a sales tactic.
I don't know. Well, and I don't know if that's what it was, but my darn map's not. I must be on high traffic time on Somnium space because there's 3D modeling that will actually pop up with this, usually with the parcel heat map, and it doesn't seem to be doing that, and I'm not quite sure why.
Gotcha.
Maybe it'll come back here in a bit, or we might have to add a little bit more. But so this map really, what I'm getting at here is this map really doesn't do it justice. Like there's 3D modeling that'll pop up, and the structures or the cubes that represent the buildings and the plots of land are different levels of height and different colors, and depending on how the value or how much they cost, the taller they are. So it's something really to get in and play with. And if you're using a touch screen, you can kind of rotate the screen and do some really, really cool stuff there. But as cool as that is visually, really the importance is we're looking for the value. So again, you can buy, like a lot of the other metaverses, Somnium Space has their own marketplace, and then they also have secondary resale on OpenSea, which makes it very easy. I really like OpenSea. They just make it easy. You can see the S for the smalls, M for medium, and then some extra larges as you scroll down. But one of the things I do like about this sizing here is it does make it easy to actually see value. So here's the price here for medium. Here's the price here. Here's the price here. So you can start getting in there, and it makes it really pretty easy as far as figuring out where the location is, where the land is. And then you can see the numbers here. So like this parcel is 121. So let's say I wanted to look that parcel up. I can come over here and type this in.
Oh, cool. And take you right to it?
Yeah, and it'll actually take me right to it. So very, very cool as far as land goes, and some good opportunities for value there too. So
I really like their map. That's a good layout. That I really like the way they've done that. I like the way they can let you get in there. That's just another thing that I think that they are really on the ball with.
Yeah, there's a lot of forward thinking, I think, with what it could be done there, user friendly. It just, again, one of those things that makes a lot of sense. So I just realized I did not send our guest the new link for our show. That's why we haven't seen him quite yet. So I'm going to go,
Gotcha.
if you're good with this, I'm going to pass it over to you, and I'm going to get this link over to him and get him brought in the queue.
All right. While I was looking this up, obviously I still haven't signed up or done anything to actually get in and play it. So everything I was looking at was videos of different gameplay. But like Ryan said, the more I looked at it, the more I was confused why I haven't heard more about this. because it's got a real like a World of Warcraft, but for like modern day. It's not set in the like a weird fantasy land. It's set in kind of like a real American or European style city, and they've got everything. I found this car race. These guys are just doing they all met up, and they're doing like an illegal, they call it an illegal street race. It's in the metaverse, so nothing's illegal. But they've just got these cars, and all the cars are NFTs, and all the avatars are NFTs, and everybody just sort of met up, and it really has that World of Warcraft feel where you can kind of get together and decide what mission you want to do. You make your own rules. They kind of got their own games. There's not really a racing game in here, but there is the ability to race cars. So they're actually timing each other, and they're doing like racing laps, and they're seeing who can run the fastest. And it's not, you know what I mean? The difference between racing and like Mario Kart, where it's set up and this is where they've made their own map on the city streets. They've built a podium, and they're actually timing each other and doing stuff. So it's very similar to Sandbox in the fact that it's all user generated worlds. You can get in there, and with their builder, you can make whatever type of experience you're looking at, whether it's illegal car racing or raves or games. They have a concert hall that somebody built. They built a TV broadcast studio with its own little green screen. You can go in there and film your own stuff if you want to do YouTube videos with your avatar or whatever. It's just really weird, the stuff that you're thinking of. And it's, like I said, it's similar to Sandbox, where they've got their own creator. But the thing that I liked about Somnium Space is the graphics. And this is how I explained it to Ryan. The graphics are more like Xbox and PlayStation and less like Nintendo Wii. You can see the stuff going on here. This is not Nintendo-y, Lego-y, blocky graphics. The ground is textured. You can see the cobblestones. It's different than the sidewalk, which is bricks. It's just a very visually appealing, full, entire world. And it's, I forgot how big it is, the actual world. But I mean, this would be, I don't know if it would be like cities or states, but there are massive, massive lands that you can go over. When they were talking about going up to the actual racetrack, because there is a racetrack in the world, they're like, oh yeah, we got to go up north for that. So then you got to go up there. And I think Ryan will talk about the worlds that you get into and being able to buy the land, but you can have a portal on your land to whatever adventure or whatever experience that you want to do.
Yeah, talking with our guest who's going to be coming on sessions yesterday, he pointed out to me, and I did not know this. He said it's the only persistent VR platform where everyone is in the same world, no matter how far you go on the map. You're in the same world. Which simplified, that means there's no loading screens. It's all one world, regardless of how far apart you are.
And that was the thing. Was it Sandbox or Decentraland could only have like 50 people on one server? And so depending on what world you were going in, it wasn't the same deal. But yeah, you can run across one side of the map to the other. And if there's 1,000 people in there, you can stop and say hello to 1,000 full people. So it's like a massive multiplayer online game, but everything's an NFT. Everything is buyable and sellable. You own everything. If you own the land and the experience, you can monetize it however you want. Their builder is light years ahead of the other builders that we've seen. No coding necessary, and you can be as elaborate as you want.
Yeah, pretty impressive. Ben, hopefully you're kind of at a good stopping point. Our guest Sessions just jumped in the queue. Go ahead and bring him up. Sessions, how are you?
Doing? Good.
Hey,
How y'all feeling?
That's awesome.
good. Sorry about that delay. I kind of goofed that up. But before we kind of get going in your story and what you've been building, I thought I'd give everybody a little bit of background on you and show a little clip of your video. So
All right, cool.
please welcome to the show, sCESSions, our very first guest on MetaMentors, a man out of the Tampa Bay, Florida area. sCESSions, meet Ben.
Nice to meet you, Ben.
Nice to meet you.
sCESSions operates the only Metaverse, the only Cypher freestyle show in the Metaverse. It's operated on Monday nights at 10 p.m. Somnium space in the basement. I'm going to show a little clip of it. But what might be even better than that is our guest just completed 44 hours straight of freestyle rap. And if it's recognized, if it's documented and recognized, he'll have broken the record, the Guinness World Record for the longest straight freestyle. So let's get a little taste of what that looks like.
Shout out to Homer, man. You know we on the run because he just hit a homer, man. That's how we get it done.
But it's just an open platform for anybody to rap, showcase themselves. All right, so over here, if you click this screen, is the web browser where I'm live on Twitch right now. And what I'll do is put some word generators up or something we can use just to, bring some more elements to it. Go in a circle.
All of the leash, we make heat on. I'ma rap like heat on, smoke them like a big bomb. It's fucking gnarly. Flames Bob Marley, smoke top team, so they vapor Darth Vader probably. Like in the brains, like a lightsaber. I got the quotes, but both sides of the.
Every time I go in big, just like a mastodon, cause you know I'm.
I'm a rapper, big and shadows like I'm shit tomorrow, though. Bars fucking crazy whenever I go to spit it. Magical shit like Addy Bridges, put it in your mind like I'm dropping octagon with all the lines like a spider. I'm wider than a tiger when I'm rapping on.
You getting it, Ryan?
Hey.
Yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, yeah, you know we stay.
Yeah, he's trying to play the YouTube, and then there's another video I sent him. So this is the clip one that I sent him.
Gotcha.
Here we go.
Every time I place this, I'm in the perfect placement in the basement. You know it's what we do, we chase it.
It's cool. You can show yourself and display yourself on the TV as well.
Yeah, I like that.
Let's keep it going. All right, so over here, if you click this screen, is the web browser where I'm live on Twitch right now. And what I'll do is put some word generators up or something we can use just to.
Well, so I kind of mixed up the videos there, but you get a little taste of what's going on there.
This right there is a web browser, and you can actually that's attached to my Twitch, so you can I can generate any type of visuals that I want for it. Anything we concentrate on, word generators, etc.
Yeah, you're pretty much limited by your imagination. It seems like
exactly, and that's
so much more advanced than I thought. I mean, this is super advanced, just unbelievable.
It's like Inception, and this is just the web browser version, compared to the whole immersive persistent VR version, which is the PC client. This is just utilizing the best attributes of the web.
Well, give us a little bit of your story. We kind of talked yesterday, sCESSions, and it's a great story, kind of just your background of where you came from and how you got started freestyling and on the streets and then ended up in Somnium space.
Yeah, so I first started with just a hip hop group, and then when that started becoming, we built up momentums and whatnot, and we were just a bunch of chiefs trying to do our own thing. So then it became sort of sparsed and separated, and I joined a rock group after that. And that experience was really cool because it gave me, a whole different light of, using music and expression. So afterwards, when I didn't really have a studio, I had bought a looper, which is right here. It's like a RC505 looper. And it was inspired by dub effects to just go out in the streets and just busk and freestyle for pedestrians and maybe just change their day for, that moment in time. If you got to capture it, it was sort of like a catch me if you can type of thing. And then I would try to set up on different street corners and whatnot. And mainly in Dunedin was the first couple spots that I did it at. But afterwards, I seen that Twitch was getting popular, and there was a whole Twitch con, and some friends that I had, they were going to that. And I was like, man, I better jump on broadcasting. So I just started learning for the past 2 years or so since I've been doing it. And, that's led me down all types of different friendships and paths and different experimentations and just learning broadcasting in general. But then I met a friend from Twitch, Blake Hotz, who introduced me to like NFTs in April. And in August, he brought me into the PC client of Somnium space and showed me the Tron Club. And from there, my mind was just like blown to bits and reformed in a different way. So then I just started seeing things like the potential for what Somnium space had. And it was funny because I didn't really know about any other metaverses like Sandbox or Decentraland or anything yet, or even CryptoVoxels, but it's like, this was the perfect one for me. Plus the community is awesome. And I went to a few meetups and just kept going in there for the meetups at 4 p.m. with nothing to show for, nothing, owned or anything, no money. And then freestyled. And one day Arthur and the whole group, it was all of us walking. The whole group went that way. And me and this other dude, Denevero, went into this parcel that had a microphone. And then I just started playing a beat like you could do like this with it, and then I started freestyling. And then everybody came rushing back and they started dancing and stuff. And then after I stopped freestyling, Arthur was like, I'm going to rent you the comedy club. So then that's what this is. And this was the comedy club somebody had utilized, but they weren't, I don't know if they gave up or what, but like the stage was smaller. It had curtains and all this other look to it. If you go on my IG, you can see how it used to look. But then I just revamped it and redesigned it once I went into the builder, like 5 different revamps. And now this is what it looks like. And every Monday it's been, the most consistent show. And then like the number 2 popular parcel. And just, it's really good. And me and Throde Genji have been doing it, consistently. And it's just a bunch of freestylers from Twitch. And this episode right here where, there was this was a 2 p.m. one for the European time because they don't ever get to do the 10 p.m. slot. And so I did a 2 p.m. one and there's like 4 rappers in here and it was one of the best ciphers we've done. So, yeah. And that's where it's at now. The basement cyber cipher, the only one in the metaverse.
Basically,
that is awesome.
Yeah, basically just grinding every day, putting out content for people that are into freestyling or just getting into the metaverse.
Yeah, well, and what a perfect example of it doesn't matter what you're into. If you are creative enough, you can figure out a way to do it even better in the metaverse. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like I would have never said, oh, the metaverse would be a perfect spot for freestyle rappers.
Yeah.
That would have been 500 on my list of 500 on people that would have really found a spot in the metaverse. But looking at it, it's like, well, actually that makes perfect sense because you can gather, you can do it, together, solo, you can do it in front of a crowd, you can go for the record. I mean, just brilliant. I love it.
Appreciate it. And it's like, country is number 1 and hip hop, I'd say, is number 2. So it's like, it's just so universal with the angst that comes from, whether it's the street life or poverty or just the majority of people that are in hip hop usually started from the angst of the streets and not having much. So, it just relates to a lot of people. And, as you can see right here, the 4 of us in the circle or so are the rappers and the rest are just viewers. So that's just, how many people were sticking around just watching. So it's really dope. And, it's cool because I don't know, as far as, me doing the record thing, that was sort of like a whimsical thing that I just signed up for just to see if I'd get approved. And it was last March. And then I got approved in June or July, which takes 12 weeks to approve it. And they're like, all right, now you just need to send the evidence. And so I was like, oh, shit, this is real. So then I had to, and then I just waited around until it came around to like December. And then I had like a couple events that I made. And, on Twitch, it's been pretty consistent, just the same. But I ended up starting to train for it in December and announcing it on my socials and whatnot. And then it became a real thing in February 20th, my birthday. I attempted it and we succeeded 44 hours from Monday, 8 in the morning till Sunday, 8 in the morning till Tuesday, 4 in the morning.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was catching some of it, and I've got this scroller at the bottom for our viewers if they want to get on and check you out on some of your channels. Highly recommend it. You've got some real talents and some of the stuff you're doing, the stuff that you're doing is super impressive. But just the way that you're spending your time and helping other people out, how we actually met, like you stepping up to the plate and saying, "Hey, I can give you a hand." That's what the metaverse, the decentralization. That's what it is. And you're right in the middle of it doing it.
Yeah. And I always see that as like, it's a genuine intention for me to go out and help people and go out and try to bring people and make us the same. I have an idea and I try not to elaborate on it too much, but ultimately it's going to be like a temporary record label, and then sort of in the works of if we can, do it digitally, and if it becomes that updated to where we can start like recording and this and that. But it would just be a way for everybody to get up to a certain level and branch off on their own, and just the same with you. When you requested for help, it's like, yeah, I'm genuinely, trying to do this for the intention of just helping somebody get up on their feet type thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It also makes me think of a lot of the newer musicians now that are using NFTs to raise money to produce albums or to travel and get their music out there. This is like a perfect platform to be able to do that. And you could even, whether it's your avatar that's part of your NFT or whatever it is, it's just incredibly good exposure. And then the other thing that occurred to me is if you're deathly afraid to get in crowds, but you're just, you're dying to get your talent, your music out there, what better way than to do it in, I guess you could call it a safe space within Somnium space.
Yep. And it's really just an audio feed, at that point, you really don't have to show yourself unless you're like these guys that put the TV display, which is the webcam. Then you can show your real self and dox yourself. But, for the most part, you're just a voice and you could just be anybody you want for the most part, just like a lot of people do with PFPs.
Right. Yeah, that's great.
You kind of hit on it, but where do you see, a year from now, where do you think the basement will be, as far as your Monday night show and that stuff? What are you seeing there?
I really think that it's going to be hopefully more immersive, and it's going to transition to VR by then, or at least to the 2D PC client, which, it's just a matter of how much people get into Somnium and how many download it. But that's why I'm using the web version for accessibility. And just because you can just click it and you're there and you can log in as a guest and you won't even have to make an avatar, but then you can also do that as well to personify yourself. And just ultimately that's the accessibility factor. But I would like to make it where it's a VR and more immersive, looking around and this and that. And you can do that on the web as well, as go through the web with VR. But the only thing about that is people that are on the web without VR and people that are in VR can't see each other. So that's why they can only see me as the main admin host. So that's the only setback with that.
Gotcha. But that's probably some technology. I guess it's probably in the works, right? I would imagine.
Like if you had an Oculus 2, then you could go in there and set up with VR. And I would like to start incorporating that as like the future goal. And then hopefully as people start purchasing more VR sets and people get into VR, downloading the client, then we can start doing this more immersively. Yeah.
Well, so we've kind of hit on, what you're doing there on a personal level and the hosting and the setup within Somnium space. Let's hear a little bit about your business, sirvm, where you're actually doing some consulting and helping other people that are wanting to get into similar stuff like yourself.
Yeah. So, I started this brand with, the whole Somnium Space Creators Fund, which, they want to see people creating something and just, standing up on their own, just the same. So, it's been awesome just to, go up and present. And, at first, when I first presented like all the ideas, they're like, all right, we approve this. We just think you should concentrate on what you love, which is true. So I started just, doing more freestyle events, not really worrying about any kind of tokens or DAOs or any of that. And just let it flourish by itself. I would experiment with different things, giving out NFTs that I created, having trivia games and different riddle games and whatnot. But ultimately just kept it to what I love. And now, people have been reaching out through Discord, or I'll reach out to them and I do consultations, per hour, just trying to get their projects off the ground or helping them manage how to create assets or how to, just look at things and different techniques to, get things done, whether it's using a browser to stream or whether it's, using these different third party like OpenSea, or just being able to create something and then bring that into the world through, signing up for a Google Doc or whatever. So that's been cool, helping people out that way, making different games or event organization is another aspect where I've already helped this dude VR Transcendent. He made an event where he put out a music video and we posted it. Like he brought in a couple of assets and I just changed up the basement look. And, nice. That was a really good event too, because a lot of people from Italy were there, this and that worldwide event. And things like that is what I'm trying to do, is just event organization, design, consultation, and then just in general project management. And it's sirvm.tech.
Yeah, that's sirvm.tech. I was looking for
Yeah.
that now.
We'll put all the links in the description of this video, but I mean, you'll see the stuff scrolling on the bottom, but we will have all the links to his social media and his website in the description of this video.
Yeah, much obliged.
Definitely worth looking into.
And so the brand is Sidetrack. So I decided when I went to the presentation for the Creators Fund, it's I sort of randomly made it up off the whim, just the same as the basement. The day that Blake brought me in there, we got out and I was like, yo, I'm going to write a rap about this. And then I was like, we're in the basement, you know, and then I just sort of just said it. And then I wrote it down as a line and then I went with it as the name for this place. But Sidetracked is ultimately the sidewalk freestyle thing. So sirvm is sidetrack, immersive reality, visuals, and music.
Gotcha.
And it's also serving them.
Yeah, I love that name for your business too. Like when I first was, pulling it up for you, I was just kind of in the zone, doing my work. And then I actually stopped and kind of looked at it for a second and was really impressed with the name that you actually chose for it. I thought that's perfect. And then I started kind of wondering, is it serving them like in the rap sense, or is it serving them like in, like God teaches us to be a servant? So
it's actually all three. It's a triple entendre. So it's it's an abbreviation, and then it's also serving people in a godly sense, I guess you'd say, and then serving them tech, technology like Web3, and then just ultimately serving them raps and battling type of thing.
Yeah. Now
you are the type of person that is going to take all of this stuff, the metaverse, Web3, everything to the next level. And there are so many creative people like you out there that are not really held back, but really just don't have the place to do it. And the more people like you that get out there and not only are you clever and a freestyle rapper and stuff, but you're also very business oriented. You're also obviously technologically oriented. Like, you've got a lot going on, and your ability to, I'm just like, that's the coolest thing is you just jumped in and were like, okay, here's how I'm going to do myself creatively. Here's how I'm going to do for business to make some money. Here's what I'm going to do to help other people. You're doing it all in one little spot without having to travel all over. You know what I mean? You're not running yourself to death. You're able to really maximize your potential in one metaverse. And it's just, man, once more people learn about this, once more people are able to do what you're doing through your help, with your help, on to the next thing, it just, the stuff like this is just going to blow up. It's just going to get, if there's 1 million of you in the world and there's only 100 of you right now on some of these metaverse, you know what I mean? Like, where will we be in 2 years when everybody is in there?
And it's crazy because 6 months in the metaverse is like a year's worth of time with the way that exponentially everything's growing. Like, 1 week it's this, and the next week people have already calculated ways to, get around that or whatnot. So it's crazy how fast it is.
Yeah, there's no downtime in the metaverse because, like you said, it's like, okay, well, when everybody in America goes to bed, everybody in Italy is just getting up and ready to go. So there is no 8 hours of, okay, this is where we take a break. It's on to the next thing. It's 8 hours for America, or 12 hours here, 12 hours for Europe, and then we're back to America again. So it's nonstop. You're exactly right. A year in 6 months at best. It could probably be even more just because you're able to do so much in that time.
And I've actually, because of, Twitch, and then now with this, so it's like I've already gotten fans around the world, from Africa to Italy and all that. So it's like I try to appease to that. So I've actually, like I said, hosted a 2 p.m. slot.
Right.
And that's for the Central European time. And just in general with what you're saying is like, taking this is also the cool thing about Web3 is that it's actually bringing light back to the artists, which are the visionaries. Because without art, we don't have sight. We don't have the way to see past something that's like, it's creating with the mind's eye. And that's probably the best type of high you can get compared to any type of dopamine, release of drugs or alcohol or any of that. Creating with your mind's eye is the most permanent, like long lasting type of buzz you can get, which is what I love about this. It's limitless creativity.
Yeah, and you could really tell in Web 2.0, once it became super corporate, they started closing the doors everywhere. Was was it
Paywalls and all
Sandbox or Decentraland? No, it was Facebook Horizons that we were talking about. And we went into their comedy club, and they had a sign up that said, no derogatory jokes, no racist-based jokes, no gender-based jokes. And it was like, you know, when you block everything in and say, this is what you cannot do, you've really let it go. You know what I mean? You've missed the whole point. And it's like, you have to be able to allow people to be as creative as possible. I mean, it'd be like if they said, okay, you can have country songs, but no rap, because that's kind of, you know, that's an element we don't want. That you're missing the whole point. To be able to do with Web 3.0 what all the corporations have tried to stifle in Web 2, it is going to make it grow. I mean, as fast as the internet grew, Web 3 is going to blow it away, because you're opening all the doors at once and saying, go crazy.
And another cool aspect is, you know, there's people that, like, for instance, I know a group, Cypher Media, that went down to Venezuela and they just onboarded a bunch of people. And now, you know, everybody in third world countries, as long as they have internet or the browser, are accessing, you know, different monetizing factors, whether it's, you know, crypto or just creating, you know, a DAO or creating an open sea. They're able to actually sell digital assets after that, and learning and onboarding. You know, that aspect is just great in itself. You know, because if you have the internet, then you can make money, or if you have a cell phone, you can make money.
Right, because your market instantly expands from, instead of just your little area of that country, of that small country, to worldwide. If you're rapping, your audience isn't just the people you're meeting on the sidewalk. It is now potentially every person in the world, and that's mind blowing.
And it's worldwide. When like what you asked of what's going to be happening with the basement, I just picture it. You know, I already have it in my mind as to how it's going to go with it's going to be like a barcade, which is, you know, freestyling and almost like we're the characters that you play, and you have to do all these challenges for the leaderboard, etc. So, you know, once it gets to that point, it's going to be where it's like worldwide people coming in and trying to challenge, and you can host, you know, you can hold certain cards that you can, like, if I hold a barbarian card, then, and if you hold one, then I can challenge you right then and there, and we have to battle or whatever, you know, all types of different games I got in my head. So, you know, things like that is appreciated. And things like that is what I'm trying to just, you know, tell everybody. But it's going to take a while for them to catch up. But it's just, you know, when you get in here, it's really just taking something out of nothing, just like energy is just energy comes out of nothing, is created out of nothing, and goes back into nothing. So it's just, you know, whatever you can create, whatever you can think of can be done.
Man,
that's what I'm trying to, that's my message.
Couple questions for you. We want to be respectful of your time, so we'll kind of wrap up here, but I've got a couple real important questions. So for as far as your consulting and that stuff going on, what do you see client wise? Like, is it, you know, if somebody's brand new to Web3 and they have this business idea and they're like, I don't even know where to begin, they can contact you and you can help them kind of start from ground zero, along with maybe somebody that's maybe has got, you know, good amount of exposure and then decides they want to do a business. Are you catering to pretty much both areas there, new, you know, brand new and also a little more advanced, or how's that look for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's just sort of dependent on what level that they're at. You know, I can either introduce them to different networks of people that I've met, you know, through Somnium space, if they're at a level where they have, you know, history with Unity, Blender, and creating assets and whatnot, and they just wanted to experiment with something or have a world, you know, to experiment. Just like with Somnium, you can have a parcel and then you could put a world on top of it to go inception wise with that. But if they're at that level, I can just transfer them to a network of people that I know that have worlds for rent or this and that. But if it's somebody starting from scratch and they just want to create an asset because they're, you know, a new artist that wants to delve into Web3, then I also work with Oasis Metagames, where we do interviews in the gallery, where we could set up all their pictures in a gallery form and do an interview with certain amount of times and different like prices for that, whether it's a 15-minute interview or a full hour documentary style. So things like that. And just, you know, anybody that wants to be able to create a digital asset on OpenSea, or, you know, how to use, you know, if they have a parcel and they want to learn how to design it, I can also help build. I can also help just give them designs and ideas, and we can also create, you know, collaborations at my spot. But just in general, anything that I can do to try to help, you know, it's sort of just like an hourly wage type of thing, and then just sort of figure it out per basis on, you know, per customer.
Yeah, it Yeah, it sounds like what I'm hearing from you and the way my brain works is I've got this idea and I bring it to you and you're like, yeah, that, you know what, we can do this, we can do that. Hey, you know, did you think about that? Like, I can hear the creative juices like flowing out of you. Like, hey, did you think about this? You could kind of do that. Like,
and that's what I love about it. It allows me to create too, and then it allows me to teach them how to create and just sort of let go of those physical mental constructs type of.
Yeah, man, that's good. So the second question, and we'll kind of wrap it up here, but what's obviously I've got, you know, you've got your social media channels. We'll be getting that stuff out, your business. What's the best way that we can, you know, help you and your business get the word out for you and actually do good for you, because you're doing so much good for everybody else?
I'd just say just how you guys are, man. I appreciate the time being on here, you know, bringing me on as a guest, and then even that scrolling word generator right there at the bottom is enough too, to where it's like, as long as people can see where it's at, you know, sCESSions is how you find me now. People call me Sessions. I just go by Sess. In real life, it's short for Cessar. And then sirvm.tech is my website, and you can either inquire through there, or Twitter is probably the most popular for crypto, NFTs, and, you know, metaverse type stuff. So Twitter, sCESSions, or sirvm.tech is how you can contact me.
Well, Ryan just learned how to do that bottom scrolly thing, so he's just super excited to have something to put down there. So.
Yeah.
See, we always learning every day.
We would be the beginner level of the Web3 and the technology. We're just picking this stuff up as we go along. So,
but see, it's impactful regardless, you know, because this right here could be, you know, somebody in, you know, wherever, you know, around the world could be watching this, and now they're on this new journey to go figure out more about it and delve deep into the Web3.
Well, as soon as the Guinness Book of World Records confirms your record, I'm going to tell everybody that I just spent 30 minutes talking to a Guinness Book World Record holder. That's nice. That's pretty cool. You know, I love it.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. It was a trip, man, to be able to say that, and just they gave you 5 minutes per hour, and it was like it became, you know, sort of hellish to take that break, because it was like, I only have 2 minutes left to go to the restroom or get some food or this and that. It's just like, and plus my throat was hurting, and then I had like a canker sore from all the caffeine and all that, but it was crazy. But yeah, I was something good to be able to say I did.
Yeah, I was reading up on that and kind of checking that stuff out. And you know, it's one thing to say that you've done that or that you compete, you know, you put that together and did it, but your whole story leading up to that and why you were doing it, to challenge yourself, you know, the stuff that was, you know, the story behind it it's just as good as going 44 hours of freestyling.
Yeah, much appreciated. Yeah, and it's just, you know, like I said in the story, it's just to know that you can do it, you know, if you have a team, and just like they say back in elementary school, it's like, if you put your mind to it, you can do it, you know. And it's like, until you get older, you sort of realize what that means, but it's just like, put the goal in front of you, walk towards it. Once you accomplish that, just keep adding that goal to push forward, or else, you know, what are you really doing? You're sort of just drifting, you know.
Yeah, you're doing the opposite of drifting. I'm just thinking, like, you've talked about like half a dozen things that you're doing, and any one of those things would have been worth delving into, you know, a 30-minute or an hour to talk to you about. It's like, you've got so much going on.
Yeah,
it's great to hear. I mean, and just to hear how you're doing it in the I mean, we're trying to, on this channel, take people who are not, or who are, you know, curious about the metaverse and curious about getting into this kind of the world, you know, but they're not really sure what you would even do in there. And it's like, if you had 27 hours in a day, you'd find 3 more hours to do something else. You know what I mean? Like, you seem so busy and so much going on that it's like, well, here, look at this guy. Look at this guy. What do you want to do? You want to freestyle rap? You want to do this? You want to do that? You want to work in the metaverse? You want to help other people? You want to, I mean, there's no limit to how much you can do. And like you said, without having to, I mean, you can do stuff for England or for Europe, whatever part of the world you're working on. It's just a matter of when you're going to find some time to sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
It never shuts down. You can literally do anything you want, teach anything you want, be anything you want, at any time you want, wherever in the world you want, with whoever you want.
Yep.
And it's hard to wrap your head around. It's hard to get it, you know, especially if you're coming from an old school or a little bit more set mentality. It's Ryan and I talk about this all the time, about how I hear what everybody's saying, but I still don't think I'm grasping the whole idea. I know that it's big. I know that there's possibilities in Somnium space, but I still don't think that I even can wrap my head around all of it. And you can't, because there is no limit.
Yeah.
There's going to be somebody that comes in and thinks of something newer, better, you know what I mean? Or like so creative that you're like, oh, I would have never thought of that. So.
Yeah. And I mean,
crazy.
I think that just goes to, it's understanding sort of the basics and, with NFTs and looking at, those things are just a way to own something digitally, because without blockchain, there'd be no way to say, I own this or I own that, because you could just copy and paste and whatnot. But, it's just that plus, being able to create with builders and whatnot, that's going to also make your mind change as to, intersecting walls that wouldn't normally happen in gravity, and things like that, where once you get into a builder and start messing with 3D aspects and ratios and placements, rotations, it's like you realize that everything you've been taught can sort of be thrown out the window. And then it's like, that's where your mind will start flourishing and creating different things. And, it depends how you were when you were younger and whatnot. I had my days where, my mind has been expanded in different ways. So that sort of helped out as well. So, you know what I mean? But so, that's, so that's where it's like my mind is always thinking. And this, like you said, Ryan, where it's like when people come to me, it sort of excites me. And it's like, besides the fact that I have to sleep, if I didn't, I wouldn't. But, it makes my mind just keep, shooting off all types of things. And I was always that guy in groups and meetings that would throw out random ideas that people wouldn't really acknowledge, but would spark something else.
Right.
So it's like now when people come to me, if they are appreciative of the way that I think, then I can actually utilize all that craziness and start, giving people ideas that could actually make sense.
Right. Yeah.
So.
You are definitely doing it for sure, Sess. Well,
Yeah.
any parting thoughts? I mean, we've covered a lot, and we'll definitely have you back on as we get into some more of this more in-depth stuff and kind of follow along and, see how the record went, see if you got that obtained, and just see how everything's going. So any parting thoughts?
No, I just say keep doing what you guys are doing. And, just the same as when you guys interview people, you're also going to be, mind expanded and realize all types of different things from what they're talking about too. So just keep doing what you're doing and it should help. And then anything you guys need, just, holler at me, Ryan or Ben, and, I'll help out where I can.
It's nice to meet you, dude.
Yeah, appreciate it. Much obliged.
Thank you,
and,
Seth.
Have a good rest of the day. And I appreciate you guys having me on here.
We'll catch you on the other side of the monitor. That's your tattoo.
All right, guys.
All right. See ya.
Take it easy.
See ya.
Whew, take a breath. Man, is that dude doing some stuff or what?
Do you think that I could call him and I could do the MetaMentors with him, and maybe you could just be a
Dude, as long as you cut me in on whatever the future proceeds are, let's do it, because I think that's a much faster route.
I'm telling you, I think the term, that dude's like a whirling dervish, man. I don't know how he fits it into 24 hours. He's like, oh yeah, I do all this, and this, and I do this and this. Oh, and I'm breaking Guinness Book World Records with 44 hours of straight rap. And it's just, that dude wore me out just listening to him. I thought, holy moly, we're trying to do one episode a week and we're getting ourselves run to death.
I know. And he didn't even, we'll definitely have him back sooner than later, because he didn't even get into I learned new verbs from him. He's talking about, he used to do looping in the street, busking. I was like, I don't even know I was looking him up, like his whole background and story. The guy is just a hustler with a big heart, man.
Right.
And just he's, he would be doing stuff regardless if Web3 Metaverse didn't come around, but this platform is just giving him so much ability creative wise, I think.
Yep. Busking, I learned what that word was when I came over here, because it's super popular in the big touristy cities around here. So, I've never seen a freestyle rapper out there busking, but like you said, he was going to be successful no matter what, whether it was, around where he came from or through Twitch or, some of the traditional Twitch is traditional internet. Some of the traditional internet, like Twitch, which has been around for 8 years. But you know what I mean? But yeah, something like the Metaverse, he has no limits. I mean, no limits. And that's the type of guy, like I was saying to him, imagine if there's 1 million people like him in the world. Out of 8 billion people, if there's 1 million people like him, where the Web3 will be in 2 years. I can't even wrap my head around where he's going to be in 2 years. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And I met the guy on Discord, and the reason I reached out to him is he was on there helping people. Like, people were like, and he's just hacking away. I'm like, dude, this guy, he likes to help people. I wonder if he would come on the show. And then just as a guest to talk about Somnium Space, I get him on the show and he starts talking about stuff, and I'm like, whoa, wait a sec, what is it? And I was like, holy smokes, this guy's done all sorts of stuff.
I've got a week to come up with stuff for a 1-hour show, and Abby's like, will you help me with dishes? And I don't have time for that. I've got too much going on. And he is literally breaking records and running a business and helping people. And then he's out on Discord looking for more people to help. Almost just fishing. Hey, anybody have any questions? Because I have 37 seconds to spare in my day, and I'm willing to spend it helping somebody.
That's it.
It's crazy.
That's Cess in a nutshell. So
yeah, I'm gonna follow him on everything, because that's a guy that seems like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and a good time. And if he doesn't, he's gonna figure it out.
Well, yeah, he did mention that too, like right off the bat when you were asking whether he was catering more to brand new people or people with a little bit more experience, and he just was like, yeah, anything I can't help you with, I've got a pretty good network now of people that I can stick you with. So if you come in and it's something out of his range, he goes, but I know the guy. Yeah. I know the guy you need to talk to. So
yeah,
good deal.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. Well, I'll kind of hand it back over to you. You started to hit on some of the token stuff, and I don't think we quite got to the gameplay, but I'll pass the screen back over to you.
The crypto coin, the coin that it uses, it's a Somnium space cube. So they call them space cubes. The little name is just Cube, CUBE. Right now it's about $5.71. At its high, all of them seem to hit a high in November of 2021. A lot of the Metaverse projects did. It was up to $28, which so it has come down a long way. And I think there was just that initial run of excitement, and then they've all come back down, but they're all probably, not all of them, but hopefully a good deal of them. And I feel like Somnium Space, I am very comfortable and confident. The issues we had with stuff like Facebook Horizons with the centralized and it wasn't real. I don't have those issues with Somnium Space at all. And with a $5 coin, I feel real good about getting into that and getting quite a few of those. I'm looking forward to buying quite a bit of Somnium space cubes. I was telling you earlier, to put it into perspective, I compare this to Sandbox and Decentraland. I compare the project. In a lot of aspects, I compare this favorably against those two. You know what I mean? Like the graphics and the ability and where they're at is like you keep hearing, oh, we're going to be doing this and we're going to be doing that in Sandbox and Decentraland. But this is like, oh, we're currently doing this. This is what's happening. I'm hoping to grow this, but right now we're already doing it in Somnium Space. And it blows my mind because Sandbox and Decentraland have around a $4 billion market cap. And they're that far, I don't want to say behind. They're at least on par. You know, Somnium Space is at least up there, it seems like. And their market cap for Somnium Space is 75 million, which is nothing, which means it would have to 50x to become what Sandbox is. And so right now, if we're at a $5.71 coin, then you're looking at potentially a $285 coin if it ever caught up in the market cap, which, you know, depending on how it's going and the number of coins, I understand that a lot of that, I don't ever try to make coin predictions, But if you're thinking it's 50x behind some of the metaverse projects that it seems to be a couple times ahead of, and as far as quality and stuff, I think it's very possible to catch up. And so I'm very bullish on buying this coin. Plus it's a space cube, which sounds cool.
Yeah.
Cube is cool, but a Somnium space cube is really cool. And when you see the gameplay, like what I was talking about with the street race, and you saw some of the gameplay, that's the kind of stuff that you're doing. You're building worlds, you're building experiences. You saw him in the remodeled comedy club that was turned into a freestyle rap club. Like, that's the kind of stuff you can do in there. And when you think the whole market, the whole economy inside that game runs on space cubes, I just feel really good about it. You know what I mean? Like, it just
I'm right there
sense.
with you. I'm right there with you.
It just makes sense with the VR headsets. You're doing everything in virtual reality. It's growing as fast as it is, and the money is space cubes. I'm in. I'm 100% ready to rock and roll with Somnium Space.
Again, you and I were prior to this show, we were all in on figuring out what's this metaverse, what's this Web3, like what's going on. We're just spending hours and hours and hours daily and weekly going through this stuff, trying to figure out what that stuff is. It's the same thing. We're taking on a metaverse a week. I started out Somnium Space hearing a lot of the chatter, so I knew we needed to do it. I'm starting into it, and I'm like, man, this is kind of hard to find information on. I had a little bit harder time initially finding stuff. And I'm like, oh, I don't know how this episode's going to be. I'm having a hard time with it. And I started uncovering stuff, and I was like, oh, what? What is this? They're doing this. Like, exactly. It's hard to put in words where you're like, and you don't want to compare them, but it's the easiest thing to compare is, we did Decentraland Sandbox. You're like, oh, these are cool. Oh, that's kind of cool. Then you look into Somnium Space and you're like, these guys are way behind.
Right.
Like, Somnium Space gets it. Like, they get it.
And they're doing it right now. This is what we're going to do. It's happening right now. You can jump in and play Somnium Space right now. You can jump in and build your world. You can jump in and illegally street race right now. They've got arcades. They've got comedy clubs, karaoke clubs. Obviously that freestyle. I mean, the basement, I didn't even see that one. And looking at it, it's like he said it was the second most popular world.
Yep.
And it's just like
second most popular parcel in Somnium Space.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's not. Yeah. That I'm still trying to figure out this world's. You know what I mean? So forgive my terminology.
Yeah. No. I mean. Yeah. I mean. How much can we actually geek out on this stuff, Ben? Like, I mean, I can't. It's just.
It's nonstop, and it's scary because, like you said you'd heard some stuff about it. I honestly found it on a list of like the top 100 projects and put it on there because I was like, well, it says it's like in the top 15, so it'll probably be in the top 10. You know what I mean? It'll be something we'll look into. Right. But I hadn't really heard. I think, is it the one earlier in our episodes when we were doing the top 10, I think it was like, well, Somnium Space is mostly like an art project where you can like store your art. And I thought, well, okay, that one's really not going to interest me. And then when I start looking up gameplay and I start watching YouTube videos and I start Googling stuff, I'm like, what in the world is this? Where was this? I mean, this should be in the top 3 for the ones that we're excited about. We should have done this one before, some of the projects that are coming out. It's like, who cares if it's coming out? We've got one that's active right now that people are breaking Guinness World Records on. And you know what I mean? Like, come on, this is happening. This is life right now. What do we wait until episode 8 for?
Oh, yeah. It's like you said, if we didn't have real jobs, we'd be doing it. We'd be cranking out an episode a day. You've said it before. We just cannot get to these fast enough.
Yeah. I've already got a whole new list of questions for sessions. So it's like we could pause right here, get them back on. And I mean, it just nonstop the information that we're learning, that we're finding out. And tomorrow there'll be terabytes more of that information that we need to learn. So
yeah, it's so cool. It is, and so much good coming out of it. Yeah, there's a lot of risk that's involved with some of it, but that's why you learn some of this stuff. But man, it's the old cliche, but it is the future. Web3, metaverses, Decentraland. Not only is it's happening now, it's not the future. Right. It's happening now.
It's the future that's currently happening. It's like the present is right now. I don't know how I'm trying to say it, but you get what I'm trying to say. It's like, it's everything. We are existing in time and space, man. And that is a good, like Sessions was saying, we are in a whole different reality here. Time and space doesn't matter. We are in the future. We are in the present. We are living it all at once. You can do whatever you want. You can hang out with your friends from Europe. You can stay up all night with your friends from Italy. You know what I mean? Like, there is no limit, only to what you can imagine and what you can actually put down and build.
It was as I was reading through some of this stuff, there was one of the articles I was reading. It was like some of the current and possibilities for uses with VR within, Somnium spaces, musicians, architects, pole dancers.
I did see on a couple of the gameplays some pole dancing. I mean, I did see they said Somnium space was a family space, and it's supposed to be a little more it's supposed to be pretty reserved. Obviously it's a digital dance pole, but yeah. That seemed I when I see that, I always think, well, you won't see that on Facebook Horizons, right. I'm guessing. So
yeah. Which is exactly why I will not be spending any time on Facebook Horizons.
That one's out.
That was an easy one.
No, but he made a good point about using the Oculus 2. And it's like, that's why, again, Facebook is important, because they own Oculus 2. And everybody is going to have to go through the top dog's hardware. And if Oculus 2 is the best one, that's what you're going to use, regardless of whether or not Facebook owns it or not.
Well, but what's interesting about that is I think Oculus is the most popular because it's the cheapest and because Facebook is pushing it. So they have this mass marketing pool as where, and I haven't done any research about VR, but this VR headset, I was doing some research that the founder of Somnium Space created, Arthur, like he's creating his VR headset to be interactive on like pretty much, again, whatever your imagination is, you can use their VR headset towards. I don't know what the price point or any of that is, but it's not limited. Not that Oculus is, but if Facebook, Meta's creating it, they're probably limiting or trying to funnel you towards them, as where this VR headset they're creating or have created is meant to explore the metaverse with.
It's like the difference between Apple products and Android products. Android's kind of making it to where it's like open for everybody, but Apple tries to keep it pretty closed in to make sure you're always buying their stuff and going to their store and using their software, hardware, everything. So yeah, I could see Facebook really trying to tie that down and keep it that way, but it is cool that he's doing an open source one and trying to make it more for everything.
Yeah, inclusive, decentralized. Man, I don't know how many times we've said it this episode, but we've just glossed over stuff. I mean, we could spend so much more time, and you and I have talked a lot about as we get through these metaverses, which we keep saying that and more are coming. We're going to come back and start dissecting progress and some of them and do a little bit, maybe more in depth, spend a little more time. But any parting thoughts? Was we want to wrap this up and talk about the next episode?
Yeah, we'll talk about the next episode. I feel like, and I think if we go back, because it seems like a world ago before we talked to Sessions, and now my brain isn't working properly because all I can think about is all the stuff that he was doing. But I remember you were talking about the land and stuff before he was in there, and I feel like you just barely scratched the surface on that. I mean, this will be an episode that we'll have to come back and definitely dig into the land and do the 3D stuff and see because this one, unlike the maps of like Next Earth and stuff like that, this is 3D. So when it's not working right now, I know, but on there, it's not just the flat map. You can see the buildings. This is one of the first projects that's already going up. You know what I mean? That you're able to build on it and make the buildings. And
yeah, I don't know what, Murphy's
Right.
Law. I tested
Yeah.
it right before the show and everything was good. And I can't get it because you're exactly right. You got to see a little taste of it. The 3D mapping on this it's wild. Like in it,
Right.
not only is it look cool, not only does it look cool and somewhat interactive, it makes it really, really easy to figure out what's for sale, what's priced really high, what's not priced high. Like it's super user friendly.
Right. Yeah. And that's what, like, I'm just thinking we could pretty much just round it up and start a whole new episode just because there's so much into each little aspect of this. I know we do this every episode, and I know most of our episodes is pretty much the same thing. But for $100, if you're trying to invest $100, you can get about 20 of the space cubes. The NFTs, if you're not creating them, you can buy them and flip them. And this place has some NFTs that you would probably like. I don't think if Facebook, even Decentraland, I've seen some of the ones, like Axes are cool, but some of the blocky NFTs, you'd use them for the game, but that's about it. But this one, the cars are NFTs, the games are NFTs. I've seen some like laser rifles for like a laser tag type of game. Those are NFTs, and they're so sharp, they're so well designed. That's what you'd want displayed in your wallet. You know what I mean? Like, I would love one of those cars just to be an NFT sitting in my MetaMask, and then you're able to actually bring it into the game and play it.
Right.
So I guess you're looking at some of that stuff's pretty expensive. So that would be in the $1,000 to $10,000 range. I mean, if you're looking at 1.5 Ethereum to get some of these NFTs, and then upwards, we saw how expensive the land was. It's comparable, obviously, to the other projects, but still pretty pricey for an entry-level investor. But that's what you'd spend. What?
You can get a pink snowman for less than 1 ETH.
Well, there you go. That's right now $2,600, 90%, $2,200 pink snowman.
A steal.
That's a good deal. So, yeah, I'm just real excited. I feel like our channel could pick one metaverse and put out a video a week. You know what I mean?
It's funny you said that because our guest for next week for our next world, they kind of have a similar show. He pointed it out and I said, you know what? You're right. What advice do you have for us? And that's what he said. He said, my advice would be to pick one metaverse and focus on that. And I said, yeah, we're kind of discovering that. But then I kind of told him the premise of our show about, us learning and this journey and bringing on, people like us who don't want to miss out on this opportunity. He said, that makes a lot of sense. So,
what we could do is start, and we've talked about this before because we're looking to be the, Sessions said he'll take beginners through advanced and he'll find whoever wants it if he's not able to. We should really consider, and I think that we are, at least for the time being, the entry point where you come in and it's like, here's some of the metaverses, here's some of the overviews, here's some of the touchstones. But if you're interested in Somnium space, here's Sessions, here's his Facebook, here's his Twitter, here's his website. He's a guy who knows about Somnium space. And then next week when we do the Wilder World, you can say, here's the YouTube channel of a guy who's specifically doing this metaverse. You know what I mean? Because you can be as thorough as you want. And we're not there yet because we're just scratching the surface on everything, trying to figure out which ones you and I want to invest in the most. You know what I mean? I can't pick one right now because I'll pick one and then see another one and be like, I just want to throw a little bit of money in that too. You know what I mean? So if we would have picked one 2 weeks ago, if we would have picked one 4 weeks ago, I would have picked Next Earth. And if we would have picked one 3 weeks ago, I would have picked this. You know what I mean? It changes every time I look into it. So we're going to focus on the introductions to the metaverse, to getting people from going, well, that sounds stupid. I would never live in the metaverse. I would never participate in the metaverse. We're going to get them from there to here's what we're actually doing in the metaverse. And if you're more interested in Wilder World, or if you're more interested in Decentraland, here's some links to go check it out. Here's some links before we have the time to really go into depth. Here's some other people who are taking that time to go into it. So,
yeah, mic drop. That is exactly what we're attempting to do here, for sure.
MetaMentors, like and subscribe.
Do it now. And so next week we got Wilder World. This one looks really legit also.
I pushed play on it earlier and I started watching it and I paused it because I said, this reminds me of like the Illuvium intro. You know what I mean? I was like, this is really good. So I wanted to push play and watch it live on the show to really appreciate it. So are you ready to start next week's preview trailer?
Let's do this.
All right. This is Wilder World coming to the MetaMentors episode 9 next week. Here's the trailer. If we had to pick one now, I would go with Wilder World.
I know, right? Isn't that pretty cool? You know, as I was talking to individuals to find who we were going to bring on for Wilder World, one of the guys that I reached out to that's on the Discord that's super helpful, super knowledgeable, asked him if he'd be interested in coming on our show. And he said, I appreciate the invite. But he said, I got to be honest with you. I'm a little cautious on what Wilder World's doing. They have got some big aspirations, and I don't know that they can pull it off. And I said, yep, that's the next episode we need to do, is big aspirations.
That's 100%. And it's like we've talked about, it's nice that Somnium space is active and it's open and it's going. They don't have to say, oh, we're going to do this. Oh, we're going to do this, because it's happening right now. Yeah. But I do like a big aspiration project. You know what I mean? I am interested in seeing if somebody can really shoot for the moon and stick it. You know what I mean? I hope they can.
If you're going to do it, the world of Web3 is it.